Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is Lover in the Ice. It was written by Caleb Stokes, and it's part of the Delta Green universe. I'm your game master, and this is episode 3. Our recap will be given by Ryan Cesny as his character, Agent Forrest. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Ryan?
This is Agent Forrest. Per procedure, documents are kept to ensure that there's no loss of information and the unfortunate events that an agent isn't heard from again. This is one such recording. We have been sent to a place called Lafontaine, Missouri, during a ice storm to investigate an alarm that went off on green box number 224. Very little information was known about it. At the time, only that it contained a number of sensitive objects and materials that were sensitive to Delta Green's operation. We went there to investigate, found the place was busted open during the ice storm, and one person who we later confirmed, as one of our mission statements here, basically had breached the green box in question and had come into contact with an anomalous thing. Not quite sure, still trying to suss that out, but the short of it is Mr. Skip Mills is dead as a doorknob after attacking, Agent Warthog, Doc, and Cavalier. There was a unknown life form coming out of his mouth at the time, and he seemed to be exhibiting a number of strange behaviors. Once they had secured the location and ensured that Mr. Mills would no longer hurt anybody else, they then went looking for his next of kin, a mother, Ms. Mills, first name unknown, is present. Which they found the remains of her, along with a number of handprints and some odd objects. They secured the location and then went back to the green box where myself and Agent Keys had secured the items. We packed them up, secured them at our hotel room, and started documenting them. My own specialty being biology, myself and Doc basically went shopping for some supplies so that we could give a proper dissection of the life form, Mr. Mills and potentially Ms. Mills' remains. We had just hit a local university for some medical supplies, gotten some things at a hardware store, and we were en route to Mr. Mills' residence and resting place. Thus far, a number of items have been examined, but I was mostly concerned with going through and seeing the fallout of whatever biological agent Mr. Mills had been in contact with, so most of those are unknown to me at this time. I will say that one item in particular that might be related to our current predicament, as the creature left a series of odd handprints, was a listing of various hands of people in excruciating detail and quite frankly creepy levels of surveillance that had to be applied in order to get that information. Currently en route? That is all up to this point.
All right. So let's start with the agents that are heading back to Skip Mills' house. It's late afternoon by this point, and it is winter, so the sun will be going down shortly. It's also extremely cold outside. All right. So you pull back up to the house. It's exactly the way that you left it.
No new fading footprints or anything?
No.
That's good.
As you drove into the neighborhood, very little of the neighborhood is in any way active. This is a poor neighborhood. A lot of these houses were abandoned. There's just not much activity. So you're relatively safe at you'll be unobserved in anything that you do.
Looks like we've got the run of the place.
Alrighty. Did you get keys last time, or do we have to bust the door open here?
No, I got them here.
Alrighty. What is it? Let's just go in the front then and get to work.
Okay.
Yep.
As you step through the front door, you're hit by the horrible, atrocious smell. The smell of decay has increased, or maybe you were just burnt out to the smell when you were here last. But yeah,
is the temperature dropping noticeably?
Oh yeah, it's considerably cooler. You turned the temperature down, but it's not cold.
Yeah, well,
what is
give it a couple hours, it'll be.
What is it? A little trick.
Better
I picked this up at that their lab at the school, and I'm gonna just put like a dab of like, what is it? That Vicks vapor rub stuff like on the underside of my nose.
Okay. Yeah,
do the same for him.
Good call.
Okay.
Now it's Dick Todd. You're with him, right? It's the three of you together.
Nope, it's just us two.
Oh, it's just you two. Okay. The other three, you guys are back at the hotel. Okay. All right. So continue.
Alrighty. What is it? I'll go up since he's the.
Right.
What is it? He's the kind of central subject here.
This is this was Mills.
All right.
You'll notice the crushed glass. He was finally dispatched with a TV, I believe.
Right.
Yep.
His skull crushed.
Okay,
and a great quantity of that orange goop is there.
Do you want to hand me a test tube? I'll see if I can scrape some of this goop in here.
Well, what is it? By all means, but I was going to, try and drain him a bit because, you got that thing that was sticking out of his mouth, but I want to see how far down that goes. So, it may behoove us to, kind of start draining him now. And
you want to cut him open?
I'm thinking maybe, prop him up like in a bathtub or something, open him up and kind of hang him a bit. So that way, most of that goo's out so we can, get at the solid matter underneath.
Perhaps. Of course, when we move him, we run the risk of contaminating more areas with this goop, and that makes it more difficult to clean up the site.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go through and try and collect whatever was left of that creature from within him, we're gonna get it all over the place if we don't drain him.
You have in the jar, you have most of whatever that thing was in his throat. And I think that you have that back at the hotel now, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying that I want to make sure that we get the other pieces of that. That way, if somebody, does manage to find the body, it's not going to make any headlines here.
So your intention is to take him into the bathroom.
If anyone finds the body, it's making headlines here. My intention is to completely destroy the body.
Yeah, well, a mutilated body won't make national headlines, but a half of a critter that was inside somebody might.
Potentially.
I want to make sure that we remove all pieces before we try to destroy any part of the body as part of the cleanup here. And what is it? Also, I want to kind of get an idea of like what we're dealing with here, whether or not this was a parasitic entity or whether it was, for lack of a better word, wearing him like a suit.
I don't think it was wearing him, but I see your point. Yeah, let's. If you'll grab the upper torso, I've got the legs. Let's haul them off.
All right, and as we're doing that, I'm just going to say, well, based on your description of the remains of Ms. Mills, you said, what is it, that somebody had kind of sloughed off the meat.
Well, it was almost as if she had been inflated from the inside, and that something had caused her skin to become almost like eggshell. I mean, it became very, as if all of the liquid had been drained out of it.
I gotcha.
The husk.
What is it, 12?
Yeah, and you can look at that while we're draining the body.
Yep, that'll take a little bit of time. So,
okay.
What is it? We do that, and what is it?
Is there? While Forrest is looking at the body, I'm gonna look and see if there's a bottle of bleach.
Yeah, sure.
Under the sink,
like
a big old gallon of bleach.
Yep.
And I'm gonna put that in the bathroom next to it.
Okay.
Start in by the TV.
I'm not worried about the semen. I'm just we can use this to destroy the or at least denature whatever fluids in the bathtub here.
Oh, good call. Good call. What is it?
If you're going to look at Mrs. Mills, do a medical roll or a forensics roll if you have that instead.
I have neither. I'm more of a biologist.
Do biology.
Biology. That's a 14 on medicine.
Okay.
14 out of 16.
That's a 44. That's a critical.
Okay. As you're looking at her body, you're definitely sure that something was growing inside this, and that it had burst its way out. You have the evidence of something going up the wall into the attic and then out the vent. It looks to you like there are definite marks on the outside of her skin in certain areas, as if she had been attacked by something with 4 prongs. Now, you've seen 4 prongs on this thing that
sure.
Skip Mills had. From the damage that you can see done, it looks like these prongs were designed so that 2 of them would draw blood out of the body, and the other 2 pumped in the orange goop.
Ooh. Interesting.
Go ahead.
Before we get too lost in the weeds here, I just wanted to make sure, the wounds that like actually are on the body, is she like, large lacerations, like something crawled out of her, or is it more like just kind of pulverized, like something like just emptied out?
After doing a exam of the outside of her body and realized that a good portion of this part has been destroyed.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
You guess that she did not die of this, that she was murdered probably by a butcher knife before this process began.
Well, that's a small mercy. What is it? So we're not looking for a true parasite here because, whatever grew out of her basically did so when she was already dead. Right.
Or
it's
was
common.
otherwise incapacitated.
Yeah, it's common with what is it? Like a tarantula hawk. Basically, they lay their eggs inside of a spider.
Yeah.
What is it?
Of course,
Sting the.
it's not a dead spider. It's a paralyzed, but same principle.
Yep. What is it? Yeah. What is it? I don't know if the murder was necessarily, but whatever.
There was a small display of control on Mills's part, but very, very small. I think that's where all the pornography was acting as,
Oh, I
treating it
follow
as a
that.
barrier of
Yeah.
some sort. Yeah.
What is it?
So the killing may have been Skip's intention, if not the parasites.
Well, and quite frankly, if he had a compulsion to do this to his mother, he may not have wanted her to be alive for it.
Yeah.
What is it? Last question about her remains. The wounds are quite visible. I don't want to get like too gross about this, but does it look like everything is there that should be, or for instance, did it take like pieces that it was eating as it was growing inside her?
When you look at it, you would estimate that there is a good portion of it that's missing. You don't know if it was just destroyed in the process or if the process itself, like you mentioned, a wasp, it sort of consumed her from the inside out.
Okay. What is it? So it's not a true parasite. That's good, I suppose. What is it? If we run into any more people with this kind of thing going on, they're probably going to know about it.
Likely. If we run into any more people with a lamprey-like appendage coming out of their mouth, masturbating furiously,
well, I mean,
I will certainly shoot first and ask questions later.
That's at least stage 3 here, because the first stage he was going around, kind of obsessively collecting pornography.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went into isolation, and last but not least, he started exhibiting violent tendencies. I mean, the fact that Miss Cabrera, the secretary, wasn't attacked is evidence to the fact that he didn't lose control all at once.
Yeah. It seems it was an incremental thing.
Yep. All right. What is it? I think that's about all that I can learn from that. The place looks
until
probably
we find the missing subject. I think we've obtained all the puzzle pieces we can from this. Well, let's go see how the body's doing draining wise.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And make sure that adding bleach to the orange fluid doesn't gas us out of the house.
Go ahead once again and do your biology or your forensics or medical.
That's a 36, not a hard, but it is a success.
Fail on medicine.
Okay. Agent Forrest, you wanted to do kind of an autopsy.
Not so much an autopsy. I just want to partial dissection. I want to make sure that I got all the pieces of the foreign creature.
So you're cutting to where you can see down into the throat, to the stomach. All right.
I'm thinking. Depends on how deep it goes.
You are.
Sternum's going to cause some problems. Let's go see if I can. We got a hacksaw here.
Well, that's why I got those bolt cutters.
There you go. Well, without too much trouble, although it's pretty damn gross, You manage to cut into Skip, and you also notice that you're getting very little blood. What you're getting mostly is the orange fluid. Once you've cut into him and you get down to the esophagus and the stomach, you realize that you probably got all of it when you pulled it out, but you can see the damage that it had done. And the four sort of prongs, you see the same similar wound to Skip, but on the inside, as if the thing went down his throat and pronged him, and it was replacing his blood with the orange goop.
That's good to
Now
know.
its mouth just had the regula on it, right?
And little tentacles, yeah. So the inside had
Okay.
tentacles too.
Okay.
Was it just to be clear here, was it a how can I phrase this? Was it a worm-like body, basically all the way down, or was that like the head and it kind of like splayed out into a bunch of tentacles underneath?
Well, even more interesting, it was literally a tube, because he wouldn't have been able to breathe unless the thing was actually breathing, letting air in and out. So it was able to vent for him. Otherwise, he would have choked to death rather quickly.
How very odd.
So it was keeping him alive.
Okay, here's a weird question, but this is kind of a weird situation. Biologically speaking, since I have like this thing partially cut open anyway, just as how I found it, would I say the structures are more of a plant-like or animal-like?
Animal-like.
Okay.
You don't see any indication of any plant-like material. However, do another biology roll for me.
07.
Very nice.
I am on fire tonight.
Although in Delta Green, that's just a regular.
Yeah. Hey, I got that one double.
The more you're looking at it, and you guys have a microscope with you, don't you?
Oh yeah, we specifically took one last.
Yep, in our black bag.
As you're looking at this orange substance, and especially because you noticed parts of Skip's body where the orange stuff was rather strong, there's a process going on there, and you'd need probably a more powerful microscope, maybe an electron microscope, to see what's really going on. But you begin to get the impression that body parts, small body parts, are being replicated. That the orange stuff is attaching itself to the human tissue and creating a kind of hybrid substance that in some ways mimics the original substance, the flesh.
Ooh.
But it's not. It's something worse. It's almost as if the orange goop is trying to clone the person or attach its own DNA to the person. On a literally a DNA level.
Is the orange goop still active?
Partly.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move both bodies into that tub there, and we're going to put as much disinfectant as we can to try to neutralize it on a cellular level.
Is there a fireplace?
Oh yeah, there would be a fireplace.
It's hard to burn liquid, though.
Actual wood burning fireplace. Well, if we drain the bodies or remains, in Mrs. Mills' case, we can pour the bleach into the fluid. Let that sit for a while. Maybe come back with more bleach and pour that in. And the desiccated remains we might be able to incinerate.
What is it? Bodies take a while to burn, so
They do.
I'm not against it, but that may not be the most pressing issue now. What is it?
Well, if we start them burning now,
Well, if we start them burning now, everybody is going to be able to smell burnt pork like a block away.
fair.
It may raise some eyebrows here if somebody's having a barbecue during a blizzard. But I'm not opposed to once we finish up here, just maybe setting a fire and burning the place down. But that would be after we're wrapped up.
Yeah. We'll make sure that the bodies are drying out as much as possible.
What is it? I'll go so far as to say that in a blizzard, the fire department is probably not going to be able to respond. So, I mean, it'll probably get all the way, to ash before anybody does anything. But again, that's after we give the old sayonara to the place.
As long as semen-soaked glossy magazine paper isn't a fire retardant.
What is it? Interestingly enough, what is it? Both blood and semen are both flammable.
Oh, once you get the water out, sure.
What is it?
You have no reason to believe that this stuff is definitely organic. So fire will destroy it.
Oh, yeah. Not worried about that. But before we start burning the place down here, I did want to, what is it, go take a look at those. You said there were handprints?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
And if you wish to go up into the crawl space, the ladder's down there.
All right. I'm going to get basically a nice looking handprint, get like accurate measurements of like, span from like pinky to thumb, finger to finger, length of finger, length, size of palm, just to like make sure I have it well documented as far as like what kind of marks this creature leaves. And what is it? As much as possible, if it's down low enough for me to actually get a piece of paper on it, I may even do like a sketch.
Okay.
Just to make sure that I have a record of it.
What you notice is what you thought at first were human handprints are definitely not human when you examine them more closely. There's a lot of anomalies. They still have, it looks like 4 fingers and a thumb, but the span is larger than what a normal human would be, and they're thicker, the fingers are thicker, and the patterns left by the same sort of patterns that our own hands leave, they're different. They don't have the same kind of swirls and valleys. The markings on the palm are completely alien looking. This is definitely not a human.
I figured as much. I'm what is it? Got a bit of a background with biology. I'm documenting it as though I would a wild animal's tracks. Basically, if I were hypothetically to run across a new species. So basically, I myself am not a biologist, but I'm going to basically, do the whole workup on it. Say, oh well, there's pressure on the, this part of it, so it probably walks like this, and da da da.
Yeah, you.
Any taxonomy predictions, Forrest?
Well, you see, the lifeline is pretty extended here, so.
I said taxonomy, not.
If you were
jiggery
to,
pokery.
if you were to hazard even the remotest sort of guess based on the handprints, you might say gorilla.
Okay. That's actually very comforting. What is it?
Yeah, I can see it. I don't know
Okay.
if I agree with you on comforting.
Now
but
there are smears on the wall as well, and up in the attic, but they just seem to be smears. All you're seeing is handprints. You're not seeing
like
any
the
kind of
handprints were
footprints.
dragging something.
Yeah,
Like handprints and then like tailing smears behind it.
yeah, something like that.
Well,
Although not a perfect, not like a snake or anything like that.
Well, and here's the $1 million question or whatnot. Do I see any signs that the handprints have any sort of claw mark or any kind of like what is it?
Nails.
Well, I was thinking, yeah, nails. Nails will do.
Do a luck
How is
roll.
it climbing the wall?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. Nope.
Yeah, you don't find any evidence of incredibly long fingernails or claws or anything.
Successful medicine check on that. Any evidence on how it was climbing?
Well, the bed's right there. It could have jumped.
Oh yeah, that's a relevant question too. Based on the size of these hands, like assuming human proportions, rough estimate, how big are we looking here?
How much mass is missing from the corpse?
Well, that may not necessarily be 1-to-1 here, but
give us a good estimate.
Well, the woman was not particularly large, so I don't know, chimpanzee sized, but it certainly couldn't. You can't imagine something as big as a bull gorilla.
Oh no.
But, the hands are larger than what you'd expect on the chimp.
Well, and most newborns tend to be on the gangly side too.
It could have leaped up, punched holes in the ceiling, and then hoisted itself up.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And then somehow it had enough strength to tear the fan right out of the wall in the.
Yeah, strength is not a question here.
Yep. What is it? While I'm in her room, I'm going to go through and try to find like a driver's license or like a document, a letter addressed to her just to get a first name.
It's Margaret. You find
Margaret?
Fairly quickly.
Okay. I'm going to pull out my phone and text the guys back at the ranch and ask them to look up Margaret Mills in that computer printout to see what it says about her hands.
Okay. Who answers the text?
Who'd you send it to? All of us?
Probably Keys.
Okay. What's that printout? Oh, it's over
It's
here.
4 feet tall. It's right there.
He's sitting on it.
It was right behind me. It was just right behind me. Oh shit! There it is. Okay, Margaret. Do I find?
Yes, you do find it.
Okay.
Describes a fairly feminine hand. It gives you the size, the glove size. That she preferred wearing knitted mittens, usually in a Lapland design, and that it's kind of rather an extensive discussion about her wrinkles in places, and she had age spots and so forth. But other than that, it doesn't sound in any way remarkable.
Yeah, I'll just text back what I deem interesting, V2 forest and
Hmm.
put it back in the pile. Put
Eh.
it back in the pile.
Worth a shot.
By now, it's starting to get kind of late. So let's jump back to the three back in the room. You guys are continuing to go through the objects. The next thing you find is you find a box containing some photographs, some drawings, I don't know what you call it, an ice axe, and various other things. Some rather fanciful drawings.
Oh, it's like an ice pick. Yeah.
Yeah, and at least one reference to the Starkweather expedition of Antarctica in 1933.
What the hell is that creepy drawing, man?
What's all over the ice pick?
Some sort of black substance.
Wasn't there something else that had black goo all over it?
Yes, the head with the axe in it.
What the hell is with this black shit? And what is that picture, man? Todd, can you see it? Look.
Yeah.
Yes.
It appears to be some sort of odd sea creature with tentacles and wings and a star-shaped head. Little drawings of details.
Hey, Todd, you ever heard of anything like that before?
No,
Like,
but
what's in it?
I'm enthralled by its feet.
Well, I didn't even look at his feet.
Look, it's got feet.
Holy shit.
Is this I pick up the axe. Is the fluid, is it all dried on there? Is it like ink?
Yeah, it's definitely dried. Obviously, if it's 1933, it's been there for a long, long time.
Well, we could always, just so we get a little bit more information and we can fill it out, we can always like research into the Starkweather expedition when I'm back at the computer, just to learn a little bit extra.
Oh, wait.
Definitely do.
Is the box? Do we think the box is from the 30s? Like-
Could be, yeah.
That's a good question.
Everything in here is, what, was that 80 years old?
Man.
Photographs.
Damn.
How old do we think that hatchet and head were?
I don't know, because I wasn't there when you looked in the...
Well, it's right here, right? We've got everything here.
Right. Really, honestly, the only thing you have going is the fact that they were all in the same box. Now, it's possible that when Jared was collecting the stuff and putting it together, he picked up the thing and tossed it in the box, and it shouldn't have been in the box in the first place. But I'm pretty sure when it's talking about an Antarctic expedition, and it's got an ice pick, so it's probably there.
Man. Well, this is intriguing. I'll note it down to research it when I'm back at the computer.
All right.
Hey, when are those guys coming back from looking at the bodies? Do you know? Keys?
I'll give them a text and I'll text, hey, when are you coming back? Missing you. No.
Oh man, I'm regretting texting Keys here. He's getting chatty.
Oh, that's adorable. Yeah, look at that.
Oh,
I even sent you the winky face emoji. That's nice.
I have that effect on some people. What is it?
I'll set the thermostat. I'll set the thermostat for, what do you think? 50s. That should keep things flowing, but
actually just turn everything
shouldn't
off.
impede.
Like if we
Do we
turn
want-
everything off and pull the breaker here, it'll just look like every other abandoned house on the block. This way we won't get like people coming in like trying to look for survivors and whatnot.
Well, there's a car out front.
Well, yeah, but I mean there are probably cars around here too from like people that, had two and left one.
Well, and there are cars that are buried in ice
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
that they can't get out. They couldn't get out.
I mean, if we can
Potentially. If you're all right with freezing everything here.
I mean, I don't think it'll hurt it any more than it has, and quite
Right.
frankly, it'll preserve it if we want to come back for it.
Question: Do we want to get a sample of this orange goop, vial it, and then bleach the rest?
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, let's do that then.
we'll go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
We'll
don't get any on your skin.
Yeah, we'll we'll pack everything up after that, and we'll dispose of bodies when we have a bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't want to be separated from the other guys for too long, and that thing that got out there might make a circle, so I don't want to be...
Potentially.
Oh,
All right, so when I pour this into the... In fact, if you want to just go to the front door, I'm going to pour this bleach in here and then book it out of here in case it starts outgassing.
will do.
I don't feel like getting a face full of chlorine.
All right. So if I understand you correctly, you're using the bleach to pretty much stop any kind of biological growth, kill it off.
Yep, in the bathtub.
Okay.
Body's hanging above the bathtub, dripping into the bathtub.
All right.
Pouring the bleach into the bathtub.
All right. So you managed to get out, and I assume you're then heading back.
Before we go, just whatever side of the house that fan was ripped off of,
Mm-hmm.
I want to look at the ground around there to see if the creature left any other tracks.
All right. Do a spot hidden for me. I mean, alertness.
That's fast.
That's a fail.
So I got one pass on that.
You passed?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, unfortunately, the ground is not necessarily flat. There's underneath it all a layer of ice. There's also now a layer of snow that's on top of that.
Are there vague indentations?
It's bumpy. That's what's hard to tell. But you also notice that this street backs up to another street on the other side, and that there's a fence in between, but it's just a chain link fence. And there are trees everywhere. Some of them are now broken down, but most of them are still intact. So there's no real way to tell which direction it went. Not from looking around.
Sure, but do we have any kind of indication of what kind of footprints it makes? Are they vaguely simian?
You don't see any footprints.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're heading back.
We're gonna have to.
Yep.
We're probably gonna have to look at the map and see where that.
All right.
The
As
victim
you get
might
back,
be related, maybe.
as you get back, we'll say it's getting kind of late. You have a few more items to go through, but frankly, you're exhausted. You've all been up since 11:30, the night before. You were up all through the night traveling in a very uncomfortable truck, and you've been here all day. So it's up to you if you want to continue looking through the stuff or just pick it up in the morning.
How am I doing with this damn puzzle?
You are kind of stymied by 6. Do an intelligence roll.
24 under 60.
It's taken you almost 3 hours, but at the end of 3 hours, just as they're walking in the door, you're elated to have solved level 6.
Oh,
And now there's
3 hours I've been working on this.
There's another one inside of it.
We have some information, and I close the door, and some party favors.
Yes, and what is it? I hold up, what is it, the pieces that we recovered from Mr. Mills.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean the pieces?
Well,
Yeah.
what is it? You got like the top 2/3 of this critter? Is it?
90% of the critter.
Yeah, this is this was what was left. What is it? Wanted to make sure that we got all the pieces in case somebody found the body.
It's good thinking.
Okay.
But what is it? More importantly, like what is it? Let me see. Doc found out that this goop that basically is being more or less pumped into anything that this Regella comes into contact with seems to react with it on a cellular level.
It attempts to replicate tissues and things it comes
Goop
into contact with.
Yes.
Mhm.
A goop.
The orange garbage.
Do we have a sample of that?
Yes.
And what is it? This may be a little bit upsetting, but we may not have actually killed Mr. Mills at all. That may not have been very much of him left at all.
Say that again. What do you mean?
Well, that's more relief than anything.
No, I don't understand. What do you mean?
Biologically speaking, that probably wasn't Mr. Mills that you came into contact with.
There was more of the tissue replicating goop in him than normal stuff.
So, wait, you think these things are like shape changers or something?
Less, what is it?
Not in the classical sense of the term, but
Okay,
Yeah.
then I have a okay.
certainly parasitic.
So then I have a question. What's
Okay.
all the pornography? How does that fit into this? Is
What is it?
that the dude Mills
From-
trying to stop infestation or change? Or
From what
is it-
little bit I can infer about Mills's mental state, I think the pornography was a last-ditch effort to prevent him spreading this.
I'll
him
throw it
spread-
out there too that the wounds that we found on Ms. Mills basically indicated that the proboscis that had injected her with the same orange goo that ended up in her kind of giving birth to this thing. This may be this thing's instinctive drive for its host, basically to make it obsessed with reproduction. That way it goes to another of the same species, basically with the pretense of mating, and what is it? Just ends up spreading itself instead.
So if this is driven by an uncontrollable urge to reproduce, I think first thing in the morning we should check with because Keys, your encounter with the deputy,
Yeah.
he had a victim, correct?
Yeah, I said I would
We should
give him a call.
we should go and check and make sure that victim isn't, or is, hopefully it isn't, associated with this with our escapee.
I would probably suggest, well, I'll be going along as he knows what I look like. I'd suggest only a couple of us go, because it might.
I can go.
He might question more if all of us go. He might be like, "Why are all of you going?"
Doc would have the best medical background. That would make the most sense.
Yep.
And
also weave a story about looking into medical items that FEMA might want to appropriate, or at least know where they're at, and blah 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 blah.
That reminds me. I look over
Give me a
to.
clipboard, I'll look real official.
I'll look over to Cavalier and say, "We got some things off of that list for you."
Oh yes, party favors.
Oh, great. What you got?
what is it? We got one long rifle. What is it? Two shotguns and a pistol.
And a handgun. Yep.
Brilliant.
And I got a bunch of medical supplies, or autopsy equipment.
Yep. What is it? We also have enough that'll do for a pinch for us to like do some limited tests to study biological samples too. Nothing too fancy, but
Yeah.
should get us through.
I also suggest, I brought this up last time when we were all together, but I think we should not obviously tell the deputy what we're doing, because that would be against our thing, but bring him in, use him to our advantage, because I think he might be useful in the long run.
Well, the closer we bring him in, the more likely we're going to have to deal with him eventually.
Yeah, which is an issue, but I have a feeling he's determined to look into that guy in his own time, because he's doing it off the books. So he might become an issue either way. So we might as well use him and deal with him if we have to.
What is it? I'll leave it up to your and Doc's better judgment there. I mean, it depends on what he knows. I mean, he may have just found a body that's frozen. This may have nothing to do with this.
True.
The fingers crossed.
We hope not, because it begs more questions that we have to answer.
Yeah. I'm what is it? I'm a big fan of the whole conspiracy theory here, but what is it? It just seems like most of the items in this green box don't have anything to do with what is it? Mr. Mills' condition. Probably only one. We just have to find out how that relates.
True.
I want to ask you a couple questions about this orange goo. Where was it? You found it inside the bodies?
Yes.
Inside the bodies,
Mills.
around.
Not his mother.
Yes. What is it? Inside the organism itself, and what is it? Basically, there was residue all over where you guys had originally apprehended it.
So it was like blood in it, that it was splattered around the area?
Mm-hmm.
It almost was like leaking it like venom. Because it seemed like
not inaccurate.
The four proboscis that basically punctured.
I'll pull up the sample and point out the.
Did you see that? You saw this just out in the air, right?
Really?
Just like on the floor or something.
Well, I mean, you guys didn't really like clean up too much.
When we ripped it out, when we ripped it out, a few of the tendrils broke off and sprayed it.
Here's where I'm going. There's a couple of artifacts in these boxes that at first I had thought were unrelated, but now I'm not too sure. That have got some kind of stained fluid all over them. The hatchet, it's got some kind of weird stains all over it.
Right. I've seen the hatchet. You say
Okay,
there's
well,
another?
New one. Here, look, here's this new one. I opened this box. It looks like it's from the 30s. It's from some something expedition that I've never heard of. But look, this axe has got this dried fluid splattered all over it. I'm wondering.
Is it similar, Tom?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, at first glance.
But you guys have a microscope.
Yeah. Let's
Can you look at this? Can we scrape some of this dry?
Give me a scalpel out of the bag here.
Can you look at the orange goo?
I would suggest, guys, at some point we should try to get a little bit of sleep, because we don't want to burn out already. So,
true. What time is it?
Well, what is it? Since we got like 5 guys here, how about we do this in shifts? What is it? I just spent a couple hours here cutting a guy's throat up, so I'm gonna get a couple hours here. Maybe somebody else take the other bed, and everybody else continue doing what you're doing, and then you guys can wake us up in like 4 hours.
You've all had you've been up for about 22 hours, all of you.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, we're gonna
Actually,
crash.
actually, that's not true. You've been up for more than that because you arrived at the airport at 11 o'clock. You were probably up since early that morning.
Okay, new plan. Let's just sleep.
We all need
I
to
was going to
sleep,
say, do we
man.
have to set a watch? Let's just all go to bed.
We all
Let's
gotta-
get
We wake
ideally-
up and we make a. plan
ideally
in the
there's no
morning.
one coming out to get us.
I
So.
put the chain on the door. Watch set.
Yeah.
However, if you took the time to examine the black stuff under your microscope for a few minutes, it's indeterminate. At this point, it's just black, flaky
Okay.
stuff. You know,
Yeah,
you don't
short of a chemical analysis, we aren't going to be able to tell
Yeah.
what this is.
Yeah, we'll worry about that in the morning.
Well, it would be interesting to see how this orange stuff dried.
Fair.
What is it? It seems to react to any biological substance, so I'm not really comfortable leaving it like out in the open air because it may do the same thing to viruses and bacteria that are naturally occurring in the room. We need a really sterile environment for that.
Well, to see how it dries, all you need to do is go back to the house and look at the carpets. Unfortunately,
Eh,
the carpets haven't been bleached yet, so.
true. But in the morning,
Yeah, let's get some sleep.
In
All
the
right.
morning, definitely.
I'm probably dreaming about this fucking puzzle box.
You've
All
been
right.
you've been working on that thing for how long now?
Since like early afternoon.
It's both fascinating and pleasurable and infuriating. All right. So you all manage to wind down. It takes you a bit of time to wind down. And you all eventually fall asleep. Everybody do me power rolls. Do we have power? Yeah.
I rolled a 1.
Oh, 6.
ooh, that's a fail.
That is 80 on
Hey, guys.
45, so that is a fail.
Do you guys think a 95 is a success or a failure?
Probably a failure.
So those of you who failed, you keep having dreams about this gross shit that you've run into. I mean, it's just not, there's nothing wholesome about this. You might be slightly used to it, but something about this whole thing just seems so incredibly disgusting that you have to keep convincing yourself to go back to sleep. But you do eventually get back to sleep. Those of you who passed, you sleep like babies. You're expecting weird. Weird's not going to bother you too much anymore. So, have everybody do, I don't know, do a con roll, and whoever gets the highest number or the lowest number, they wake up first.
Well, I got a 70, so.
I got a 41.
46.
95. I'm sawing some logs here.
68.
41 wins.
So 41. Is that
Really?
that's
What'd Keys get?
70.
Oh,
so? Cavalier, you wake up. Were you the 41?
no, I was.
Oh, you were the 41. All right. So Dick, you wake up in the morning. There's a pale blue light coming through the window of the room. You can see everybody else is splayed out wherever they chose to sleep, and the room is comfortable in temperature. And I don't know. You decide to go out and make some coffee or something. There's a little coffee pot. Do an awareness.
Fail.
Okay. So you go over, you make the coffee. You're sitting there. You're wondering if there's, you guys need to find some place where you can get some food. You had some snacks. You look around at the some of the objects that you've been working on, especially the big puzzle, which is now basically all these almost opened like flower petals, all these different parts, and he's working on the middle of it. And you get this overwhelming sudden feeling that you're being watched. You look over at the guys, they're all still asleep. But you get this funny feeling like someone is watching you.
I move away from any window that I might be near.
Okay. You move away from the window, and you realize that the glare of the light from the window kind of obscured your vision of the entire room. And as you move away from it, you realize there is something on that table underneath the window, and then you see it. It's that fucking head with the axe in it. It's not in its bag. It's sitting there underneath the window, facing you. And you distinctly remember somebody putting it back in the bag.
Like it's watching me.
Like it's watching you.
How big is the head?
Not like that. About human size.
It's creepy.
And it's not even where the bag is. The bag's over there.
Who's closest to me? Which one of these guys is closest to me?
I don't know. Let's see.
Roll a d4, I guess.
I guess Agent Forrest is closest to you at the moment.
I kick him. Are you on the
What's the matter?
Did you move that?
Move what? Oh, Jesus. No.
Were you working on that?
I mean, I took it out of the bag last night, but I put it back in. Does it still have the hatchet in it?
The hatchet doesn't come out of it, does it?
It fell out of it.
The hatchet fell out yesterday.
Yeah, I put it back in before I put it back in the bag. Does it currently have the hatchet in there?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the bag?
Bag's on the other side of the room in the corner.
I pick up the bag. Is there anything in the bag?
Nothing.
Bag's empty.
Correct. The latch is popped.
Well, I pick up the head and the hatchet by the hatchet shaft.
Okay. Do a luck roll.
No.
No, you failed? Okay, excellent.
I failed.
All right. You pick up the head by the hatchet shaft, and as you're moving it, the head drops to the floor, and you've got the hatchet in your hand.
I'm going to attempt, against my better judgment, just as an impulse, to try to catch it before it hits the ground.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're going to need a pretty good luck roll. So.
Okay.
We have luck in this game?
Yeah, luck's just 50-50.
Oh, that's right.
Success? 32, not a hard.
It's not a hard.
I can...
I'm going to say this. As it falls to the ground, you reach to catch it, and it kind of rolls out of your hands and rolls across the floor and comes to rest between this part of the room and, the kitchenette. And it's there on the tile floor part.
Oh, I'm fine with that. I'm immediately regretting trying to touch it. It's just, it dropped, and that was my impulse.
Right.
Weird. I'm going to throw the hatchet in the bag, and I'm going to throw the head in the bag.
Okay.
Just pick it up and throw it in.
When you approach the head rolls away from you.
Oh, Jesus.
It just rolls away from you.
What the hell's going on, man?
I look over at Forrest. Did you see that?
you guys start to hear this thing banging around in the kitchen as Dick
What
is
are you
trying to
guys
get a hold
doing
of
in
it.
there?
What are you
better be
jokers
making
doing?
breakfast.
No, it's the fucking heads rolling around, I yell.
Oh, yeah, heads are gonna roll. How early is it?
All right, I've got the bag.
What the hell?
I'm going to try to throw the bag over the head.
Okay, luck roll.
I rolled a 100.
That's a critical failure?
Yeah, it's a critical fail. You throw the bag
Oh,
at it.
no, wait. Is a 00 a critical failure or a critical success?
No, it would be a failure because
Yeah,
it's
Is it? Okay, cool.
it's
Yeah.
high.
Cool.
You throw the bag and completely miss it, and the thing rolls over to the part of the floor where the sink is, and it rolls up the sink and onto the counter and starts to move across the counter.
Are we seeing this now?
Have you woken up?
Who else is in the
I
kitchen?
think
probably
Alex is still
walking
sound
into the
asleep.
kitchen. Still walking into the kitchen to see what the hell's going on.
Those of you who are not asleep, you can roll to see if you wake up. A con roll.
Yeah, I'm
With all the
going.
noise.
That's got to be a sanity roll for
Oh
me.
my god.
Yeah, you can all
Well,
do sanity rolls too for
I'm
weirdness.
I'm fast asleep. I just rolled a 98.
All right, what are you jokers doing in here?
Okay, I got a critical success on sanity.
So did I.
I
That was a
succeeded.
22.
Okay, just 1 point of sanity damage.
And
Or
I'm still
succeeding.
asleep.
If you fail, if you made it, if you fail, do 1d4.
I'm going to try something really strange, but it's a strange situation. I'm going to try talking to the head.
Okay.
What is it? Just gonna say, hello there. What's your name, guy?
It continues to roll across the counter, and it falls off the other side onto the ground.
Okay, I'm gonna
Is
try
it
and
heading towards anything in particular?
It's heading towards the window.
Oh,
Okay,
shit.
I'm gonna stop it before I'm gonna tackle the thing before it gets to the window.
Get it.
All right.
Yeah, I think we all like bump heads running towards the window.
I'm still asleep. So
Jared, why don't you do a dex roll? Alex, I think at this point, all this noise, you jump up.
Okay, I have no.
Yeah, well, as I
What?
crash to the floor and miss, you're definitely gonna wake up.
What's going on? What the hell?
The thing has rolled over to the table that it was originally sitting on, and it climbs up onto the table. It just rolls up onto the table. But it's definitely, you get the impression it's going for the window.
What the
Okay,
hell is that head doing?
I'm going to try to flip the table
Wait, who's got the
away
hatchet?
from the window.
Do I still have the hatchet?
Yeah, you
Why is
did
it-
drop it.
Why is it not in the head? Why
It's
is
going to be in the head.
What is it? When I flip the table away from the window, does it have to roll up the entire top of the table and then go down?
Do a luck roll.
Okay. Fail.
Okay. You hit the table and you flip the table, but the thing, just as you hit the table and flip it, has started to go up the little bit of remaining wall towards the window. So the table flies, but the thing is stuck to the wall and it's moving, it's rolling up towards the window itself.
I hatchet it.
All right. You're going to attack it with the hatchet.
Yes.
Do a, what's our attack?
Melee?
Yeah,
Melee?
Do a melee roll.
Oh, I missed. I way missed.
All right. You swing the hatchet at it, and the thing rolls to the side. Your hatchet hits the wall.
I would like to run over and try to kick it like a football.
Okay, it's now about 3-4 feet high off the ground on the wall. You do it
Okay.
like a soccer kick.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Go ahead, melee.
All right. I'm pretty good at unarmed combat. 34 is a success.
Okay.
I don't know what damage is.
You contact it and do a luck roll for me.
Fail, 68.
Okay. You kick it pretty hard. It flies up into the air and hits the roof above the window when it does, and it sticks there. And you do 1 point of damage to your foot because you just kicked a gigantic block of wood with your foot.
Dick, this sounds really stupid, but pass me the axe. I'm gonna try to throw it at the thing.
Don't do that. Just grab the damn thing.
The thing is now
It's on the
rolling
roof.
back and forth above the window.
It's up
On the
there, man.
ceiling.
Yeah, on the ceiling, as if it were possessed by the devil.
I know. I'm just gonna give it a go. I'm just gonna throw the axe.
Wait, no, don't throw it. It's just the ceiling. You can hit it with just hit it with the hatchet.
Okay, I'll go to hit it. Why not?
Melee.
And if I can't reach it,
Yeah, what are you, 5'4" or something?
33, and that is a pass. I have 40. in melee.
That's an extreme also.
That's a critical.
33.
I know.
You go up there and you whack it really hard with the axe, and the axe jams itself into it, and at that exact instant, the whole weight of the thing drops out of your hand. I mean, it drops. But you've got the thing stuck on the end of the axe.
Get the bag. Get the bag.
Yep,
I
bag it.
don't think the bag's important. I think the axe is important here.
I know, but let's put it in something and keep the two together.
What is it?
Damn it.
Wait, except, you guys all said it was in the bag last night. When I woke up, it was not in the bag.
The hatchet was loose from it, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't think the bag matters. I think the hatchet embedded in it.
When I woke up this morning, the hatchet was in it. Right?
Right. But he is also correct that he might not have put the hatchet in very strongly.
I,
In this
fact,
case,
did not.
you've buried the hatchet, and you've really hit it good and hard this time.
Yeah. What is it? Do we have like any like duct tape or anything like that?
You didn't buy any, but
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we can get duct tape later.
I think if it's jammed in there, I think it's okay.
Fingers crossed.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Could people tell me what happened? Because I just woke up and then I was like, this head. What the fuck?
You're gonna put it back in the bag.
You know as much as
Yeah,
I do.
I'll put it
Yeah,
back
you
in
know
the
as much
bag.
as I do too.
I woke up and the thing was outside the bag, and then it started rolling around. And then we had all this. But I made coffee.
That's good.
I need a cup.
good.
So
Pass
it's a
me
win.
cup right now.
Net gain.
All right, what's the plan? What have we got? We've got to go we got to go talk to a cop because there's a dead body.
Right. Me and Doc will handle that.
We got a missing something.
Yep.
Which hopefully isn't related to the dead body.
Nope. No clue where to
Fingers
track
crossed.
down missing something.
It definitely is related to the dead body. That's why we have to find it.
Well,
We don't know if it's related to the new dead body.
yeah.
Maybe for this morning, you three, while me and Doc, I'll ring the officer, and then me and Doc will hopefully, when we get a meeting time, and then you three keep doing the items for a little bit.
We've only got 2 more, I think, by my count.
You have
Back to work
a
on the puzzle
box of what looks like a bunch of plastic bags with things in them, and then you've got a stack of yellow pads.
Yeah, the legal pads.
Yeah, as you say that, let's do something random here and see. Doc, you are the closest one to the box with plastic bags in it.
Oh boy.
And as you look down, you can't really make heads nor tails out of what you're looking at. There's a bunch of these baggies. They're about that big. And they seem to have things inside them. When you reach down and pick one of them up, what's inside suddenly gives you the creeps. Is it a dead animal? But no, it's not. It's not like any coherent animal. You're seeing a kind of a shape, but there's fur and there's skin and maybe there's teeth on one end of it, and it's in an odd shape, and every single baggie has a different shaped object in it, and there's a bunch of them.
Well, that's odd.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Huh.
There's at least a couple of dozen, maybe more.
Did somebody start a tumor collection here?
Oh yeah, that's a good way to
That's a-
describe them. I don't even know what those things are.
That's, tumor collection. Let's go with that.
Is it warm?
No. In fact, you can tell that these have probably been in here a while because they're discolored and probably, samples of something that was alive but is no longer alive. But the air hasn't been able to get to them, and they're somewhat desiccated. But they look a little too much like there's enough coherence that is that a mouth, and is that, is this a creature?
Individually or combined? Like
Individually.
so we'll see what might be a mouth on every one of them.
Yeah. Maybe even teeth, like gopher teeth or something.
Huh.
And some of the shapes are very strange, but a little familiar. Doc, do an intelligence roll.
My God, these are like.
Hey, that's wow. That is an impressive failure. Because I have to roll impressively high to fail an intelligence check.
You're completely baffled.
Well,
The rest of you can do intelligence checks.
We're gonna stick with tumor collection, and I put the bag back in the.
Well, I've got to get really high to fail.
I failed by 1 point.
Oh my god. I have a 75 in intelligence. I just rolled a 99.
I rolled a 76.
Anybody?
The clue man was not meant to know.
I
I
failed
got a
too.
regular pass, 53 under 60.
All
What
right.
is it? Can I speculate that this may be related to Mr. Mills here? Because it seems like malformed biological entities.
Maybe. I mean, you can speculate that.
I mean, that's my assumption. Is there an empty plastic bag?
There are no empty plastic bags.
All right.
Corey, as you're looking at it and they're sort of fiddling with them and moving them around, it suddenly dawns on you that they look like letters.
Or runes or something, yeah?
Well, some of them are very much English. I mean,
Oh,
you
really?
see A and you see a B, but some of them are odd, maybe Greek.
How many are there?
It's the sentient letters from Sesame Street.
There's
How many are there?
there's at least 30 or so of them.
Guys, it's like an alphabet. Look. There's A.
Some of them you're
B.
thinking are maybe Hebrew.
That's
Oh,
weird.
geez.
Right.
That's one jumble I don't necessarily want to solve.
Open one up.
You want to try this puzzle?
No, don't open them up.
I'm gonna ring the police officer. You can deal with the numbers.
Let's
gonna go ring
not
the police
open
officer.
these up.
Yeah.
Like we had heads rolling around. Let's keep the status quo on this box here.
Well, and they're biological in nature. I'm just going to go ahead and put them on ice just to be safe.
Yeah.
Put them in the fridge.
Well, the fridge probably won't get that cold, but if the hotel has an ice machine, we could probably
there's a
pack
freezer.
them.
It
Put 'em in the freezer.
It probably has an ice machine. Those are automatic, aren't they? You don't like
Yeah.
to restock them or anything. So yeah, there's probably one down the hall.
Yeah,
Wait,
and there's
what are we gonna
probably
do?
not that big a demand.
Are we going to bring the ice machine in the room?
Oh, he just wants
How
to.
is it going to be secure? Stick them in the ice machine.
I put the plastic bags in a box. I take the box out. Fill up the box with ice. Take it back to the room.
Fair.
That sounds like a mess to me. I think these things are fine.
There's probably an ice box, but yeah. They don't come across as something that.
They've been sitting in that green box for how long?
Well, it's been exposed to
I wouldn't recommend opening those Ziplocs unless you're in BSL 2 at least.
Well, I'm just thinking of it in terms of the head. Like, I don't want them to activate, and it's very rare in nature for something to be more active in a cool environment than a warm environment. Just my thoughts behind that.
You also don't know what kind of bacteria or anything or prions could be festering in there.
You know, we've got one more box here that we don't know what it is. Before you guys call the police officer, let's flip through these legal pads.
Well, we don't know how long he's gonna take, so I could at least find out, and then we do the final box.
Yeah, just
Keys, you set up an appointment, and
All right.
I'm working on
with this.
part 7 of this puzzle.
Still?
Do you want to do it?
No, I want to just leave it alone.
It's a funky puzzle box.
here,
Alex,
I'll tag out.
I doubt there's going to be anything good once you get in there.
Just gonna keep going. It's like this.
It's gonna keep going, and
like
once you get down to the bottom, you're gonna find a Cadbury egg that gives you cancer or something.
You're not. You're gonna just keep finding puzzle boxes until you go mad and pull your own eyes out.
There could be a magic key for a magic bus in there or something. I don't know.
Alex, you managed to get a hold of. I don't know how easy you could do that. Do they patch you through to a car?
I think he gave me his personal.
Yeah, you got his personal cell phone. So you managed to get a hold of him. He tells you that he's kind of on the other side of town at the moment, but he'll definitely come back in an hour or so.
Okay, I'll tell him to meet me at your caravan,
office, right?
Because I need to do some research on that computer anyway,
All right.
just out of curiosity. So.
All right.
Okay.
So Dick,
we have an hour.
you're looking at you've got a box full of legal pads.
A big box?
It's a fairly decent sized cardboard box.
Is it as big as the box that has the print?
No. Not
Okay.
that much. The legal pads are filled with scribbles, and some of them are more coherent than others. Some of them were badly damaged by the weather because they were scattered all over the floor. And it takes you a little bit of sorting. The first thing that you realize is that these are all written by a guy named Ryan Whitehead. And he seems to be a journalist or a fiction writer of some sort. But you do eventually find one piece of paper that is blood splattered that has a sticky note attached to it. and it looks like this. If you'd read that for me. Can you read that okay?
Yep. What am I going to read first? I'm going to read
the sticky.
The sticky. Okay, here's the sticky note. November 3rd, 1981. Suicide note. Ryan Whitehead, former author and journalist, resident San Francisco, California, self-inflicted gunshot wound, suspected of murdering 2 collectors. Quick question. Is that in a different handwriting from all the legal pages?
Correct.
Okay. This is the blood-splattered legal page. This is the end of it. I once had a career. I was cocky, but things got too strange. When I try and remember the things I saw, it all scratches and rustles in my head like a nest of hornets. I tried to write it down, but it's never right. The jungle, the horrible dreams, the night sweats. No, I'm fucked. I have tried to drown the pain with drugs and alcohol. It's burned into me. I tried, but there's no getting this out of my soul and onto the page. I have hit the limits of fiction. There ain't nothing like them in the history of the world. There aren't words that can make any sense of it. It's a flavor of terror that has no equivalent. But maybe it was actual journalism all along. No fiction in this madness, only the maybe banging and scratching nightmare. I'm very tired. I'm tired of this madness, tired of feeling like this. There is no future for me. Nothing can save me from what I have seen. I thought I could write it down. I can't cope anymore. I am sorry. This is it. The last thing I will ever write. I'm sorry. I don't think you will understand this fully, but whatever you do, don't open the, and I think that says box, but it could be book.
It's box.
Thank you. Don't open the box, which we've opened them all.
I stopped working on the puzzle box.
I mean, that's not really a box per se. That's like...
That's a 9-sided box.
Why don't you keep going at it? It probably isn't that box he's on about.
The rest of the yellow pads, they're obviously his attempts to tell some sort of story, something that happened to him a long time ago. And they're all dated, and the farther along you get, the more incoherent they become. It becomes almost ridiculous after a while what you're reading, but you work your way back and you discover his first draft, if you will. And his first draft actually seems to be the most coherent. Who would like to read it? It's a little long, but it's important. Who wants to read?
I can read, but I don't want to hog the reading.
Okay. All right.
I'll read it.
All right. So, Jared, you're going to read it? All right. This is what you sort of glean from the whole thing.
Escaping Altamira by Ryan Whitehead. They sent me to the jungle to write a violent and cunty article about the Wild West come round the wheel of history again, stopping its unique je ne sais quoi and yours truly with the compass needle pointed far south to a frontier town called Little Altamira. Such a venture sounds mighty fine to good old Ryan. I'd momentarily grown tired of wrestling with the people in my head, and it's a good plan in such instances to put some new folk in there, filtering out the mundane ones with healthy doses of whiskey, of course, or some fermented agave fruit, accounting for local custom. Apparently, the latest military coup wasn't content with its 15 minutes of dictatorship. Them crazy damn Brazilian generals fancied themselves capable of some man-sized Romanesque public works. Seems the psycho bastards are cutting themselves a road through the green hell alongside the Amazon River. Got everyone in on it. Government men whipping indigenous tribesmen and brown proles with bulldozers for 12-hour days of feverish bushwhacking. They got themselves a goddamn circus in their muddy wake. This nomad encampment called Lil Altamira. As the road pushes through the humid jungle stink and poisons everything, the town follows behind, serving the workers with booze and drugs and the bodies of its women, everyone hitchhiking along the earth-moving spoonfuls of American-made cats and deuce-and-a-half trucks. I don't know where them boys get the energy for that much fucking myself. Well, that was somewhat coherent. Getting on the plane to Bellum would have killed my grand ass if I had not been heavily fortified with a variety of chemicals. Law has no meaning out in the wilderness. Men are getting shot and left in the trail. They're paving the road to Latino modernity, yeah, with the bones of barroom shootouts and used condoms, like all the good civilization should. It's the last of the wild places where a man's leisure is as dangerous as his work. And Blammo magazine thought old Ryan here was meant to take the snapshot for y'all. And the plane is coming in over the basin now, the muddy river cut into the green like a smile on a horse face. I've got to meet my guide, Sergeant Tavares, and get my pal Albert squared away medicinally, despite the watchful eye of that damned sadist editor, Gabriel Laurentinos. We'll get a bead on the local debauchery by point of contrast. Then it's off down the road to a town of dreams. The one that's never in the same place twice, but always 2 lanes wide, where we hope to meet men intent on fucking and drinking their way into places humanity weren't meant to tread. Weather-damaged pages. That god-cursed Tupi dropped us off on a road a goddamn marathon away from the town. Look, Chief, I know they're raping your land, but don't charge me for watching and expect the noble savage treatment in my immortal prose. Asshole. Speaking of violation, our entourage of Americans, whores, and heavy machine operators came across a strange sight as we humped our shit down the jungle road. I was just thinking to myself, this must be what those boys in Nam felt like when we saw the rock carvings. The things were 7 feet tall and dotted the road like attractions. The crew even blasted some of the things apart in their eagerness. The sight sets me to mind of Francisco de Orellana, and I can see why the old priest named it Amazon in 1542. The rocks show these great granite women with clubs attacking the strapping young man with such enormous equipment he didn't have room for legs no more. Just drags his huge junk through the dirt while walking on his hands. Poor fellow's pecker must have come across the weight limit for pleasure and into pain. The prehistoric ladies ain't having it no more, and the bastard's so ugly I can't say as I blame him. Loyalties to a fellow brother be damned. The stones they ain't blasted are well preserved. In the flood plain, it seems. I can only glean the stone comic book to one. And all the likenesses of the fella have their faces worn away. No eyes, just a big sucking hole for a mouth. Gotta remember to call a museum down here before these savages bash their whole history to hell and gravel. Well, they're damaged pages. Have to write this down, can't make sense of it. We saw the smoke of the town a full day earlier than expected. The workers must have cut ahead by 10 miles, which might as well be on the moon in the rainy season. Me and Albert were worried that they'd gotten sick of the Nomad Act and put down roots, which left a short jump to laws and cultures and no story for old Whitey. Far fucking from it. We're no sooner in sight of the tents when those topless women run at us with drinks in hands, titties flopping out. The menfolk are mostly naked in various states of arousal. The whole place is recovering from a Caligula-level orgy the night before. The crew seems disappointed it didn't beat to some record and is primed up to try again. Makes me wonder now if anyone was actually left to cut up the trees ahead. Little Altamira was too damned horny to move. Albert and I ditched the she-bitch editor and soldier to dive right in. We think we're big men doing it for the journalism and the US of A and whatnot. Things get fuzzy, but it's about the craziest damn time I can remember having. Men and women falling off into the woods to fuck, music everywhere, booze, drugs, etc. A real lovin'. I lost my intended partner in a crush as one senorita after another found my lap, fighting over me like a piece of meat as we drank in the massive sweaty tents. Then came the gunfire. Army men came out of the direction of the work camp, firing in the air. They looked beat to shit. Some were hauling moaning men in improvised stretchers. They're just firing into crowds on the road. Anybody fucking runs for it. Anyone coming out of the tents, coming out of the woods, they all get stitched up. Then the ones with machetes set upon the bodies. It's a fascist wet dream. Before I can pull myself out of shock, they start lining us up and take us behind the shed. I'm scared shitless already when their officer stalks out of the night. Hard bastard was more scratched than skin. He was bleeding from everywhere with those dead eyes. He cuts himself somewhere with a shaving razor, looking each person in the eyes as he does it. About the fourth one down, he cuts his face. Girl in front of him, she gives this moan in response, a deep one, pleasant. He grabs her by the hair and drags her screaming into the middle of the trail. The soldiers, they circle up and around her in a C shape, real careful to give us a view. The ones not doing that form a line and cock their rifles. I'm pissing myself staring down the barrels, begging in all the languages I know, when I see the girl on the ground. She's still hot to trot, writhing around in the mud like a horny dog, fainting towards different men like she can't decide which one's cock she wants more. Then El Jefe shouts something and the guys start beating her to death with their rifle stocks. I see it all, but El Jefe, he sees me. He's staring right at us. He starts pointing at folks in the line, and they open up the goddamn guns each time. The man left of me goes down. The couple to my right scores more. Blood was pooling in the tracks left by the bulldozers. All that was left was me and maybe half a dozen others, but I'm too fucking scared to count at the time. There's this eerie calm between the beat-up girl's last breath and the sounds of the jungle resuming. Then there's this rustling in the underbrush, weird clicking sounds, kind of like when a kid clips a playing card in the spokes of his bicycle tire, like the chirping of a cricket or cicada, only lower and louder from every direction. Next thing I know, they're shooting guns again, this time into the trees, screaming, "Amante, amante." Some brute grabs me and runs us down the road, sends us sprinting down the muddy road in the dead of night. I swear I can hear those chirping noises rushing past us as we run, heading towards the gunfire and the growing glow of fires. Albert is already halfway back to the boat landing by the time I catch up to him. His face is cut to shit and he's got no answers for me. What happened? What the hell happened? Guess that old boy Conrad was right about the jungle. Weather-damaged pages. Woke up this morning to find Albert stabbing one of the soldiers with something. Held it in his mouth and went at the man like a fucking woodpecker. Whatever it was, the scene folded like a hypersexual nightmare. The Brazilians that made it back to the boat with us wiped themselves out in crossfire trying to hit him on full auto in the middle of the raging river. Then he came at me with that thing writhing out from him, like he intended on fucking me with it. We struggled and I managed to cut and tear that thing out of him like with Daddy's Bowie knife. Albert screamed like a madman, fell backwards and overboard. Even in the deep water, the piranha made his blood froth in the surf. Those men that were left threw their own dead to the fish. Didn't even hesitate. I was pinned under some luggage and the thing was still flopping around in my hand. I slammed it shut inside an ammo box. I can still hear it thrashing around in there. Maybe a doctor or a biologist home will... I don't know. I've been trying all this time to come up with a clear picture of what happened in that steamy, dreadful jungle, but the words just don't cut it. I'm not even sure why I'm making the attempt. In the pursuit of happiness, if the pursuit of happiness is the greatest goal for a man like me, I'm afraid that the opportunity is gone forever. I'm haunted by the experience, and any deals I have made with the bottles have proved ineffective. Fuck it, I'm done.
You guys found an empty ammo box in the...
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that one's definitely relevant to.
Yeah, that fills
Mills.
out. Yeah, don't open the box. In
Yeah.
case you were wondering, gentlemen, don't open the box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we have to worry about your puzzle box, Cavalier.
Well, I'd still worry about the puzzle box.
Hey, if Cavalier doesn't want to do it, I'll pick it up later and start doing it myself.
Well, you got an appointment with a cop here.
Yeah, no, I need to go do a bit of research, so I'll go wait in the trailer.
What is it? Before you go, though, couple takeaways from that. They apparently dealt with these things before, and that's why they were wounding each other in order to try to suss out who was and wasn't infected.
Right.
Explain.
What is it? In that their story, they said that the soldier who was more scratched than skin basically went through and cut everybody's face, and when one of them responded pleasurably to the painful stimulus, they basically...
You'll remember our encounter with Mills. He reacted similarly.
Yeah. What is it? This may be a good way to suss out who is and isn't infected in this.
Pain, then. Okay. It's a good thing to note.
I think any sensory input is pleasurable to people suffering from this.
So, hypersensitivity. Okay.
What is it? Not just hypersensitivity. Things that should be outrightly painful are pleasurable.
So what did he...
Just know, for everyone's health and safety, I will be greeting each of you with the punch to the gut.
So the thing that he had in his hand was the proboscis or whatever that was sticking out of Mill's mouth, you think?
Yep.
Yeah, the same thing that we cut. Yeah.
No,
it's good that
out, right?
let's get hand me that jar of formaldehyde. Let's get this thing.
Well, they're both floating. Yeah, they're both already floating in a bottle of alcohol here. If it survives that, then we got bigger problems here.
Well, it shouldn't be able to regenerate in that.
Right.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
One thing we do need to discuss is while me and Doc are dealing with the officer, what are you three going to do?
I'm assuming cleaning up here.
Well, what is it? I would like to do a little bit of a workup such as we can on the biological samples we have. Maybe see, what is it, what that particular goo responds to, like, different circumstances, seeing if, it is safe to just leave in the open air and whatnot. And what is it? I don't know about you, but quite frankly, some of us should be concerning ourselves with the one that got away, that creature.
I'll have more information on that once we look at the body.
Yeah, and we could
if the body is a victim of our orange goopy friend.
And we could ask the officer if there's been any strange sightings overnight while we've been here or during the day.
And we'll set to filing all the serial numbers off these firearms.
That'll
Good
work.
option.
I'll also throw it out there that somebody may want to hit up that bookshop or the red light district to see if there's been any unusual activity there, because apparently one of the symptoms of is a hyperactive libido.
But they're already out of stock, right?
And high temperature. If we can find keys once we're done with the autopsy shenanigans, if we really need to get an idea of where the hottest parts in the city are going to be.
Yeah.
If there's steam tunnels or anything like that.
Well, one of the things I want to do anyway is I want to ring the receptionist to see if I can get the grid. See if she's got that ready for me yet. I know it's only been a day, but you never know.
Maybe. Yeah. Well,
That might be a starting point because then we can at least.
yeah.
Is there a
In
power
fact,
plant?
we can take care of that because we have an hour before the officer meets us.
Well,
Correct?
I need to go use the computer. Out of just curiosity, I want to look at something. So
All right. Well, I'll join you on that. Let's go.
okay. Yeah, we had
All
that.
right. This is actually a really good spot to stop.
Okay.
I know we're a little early,
All right.
but it's a good breaking spot.
No, it's a good breaking spot. It's a good
Perfectly.
breaking
I mean, it was rather narrative heavy there at the end.
Yeah, I will send you a PDF with all of that information so that you can peruse through it and check it out. Our players included Brian Daly, Matt Ryan, Josh Harwood, Ryan Sesney, and Ian Christensen, with yours truly as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.